Today on Go Island, we are spending some time with Nanaimo Mayor John Rattan. There was a council meeting on Monday, and a new tradition here on Go Island is that we will review council meetings in conversation with John Rattan and sometimes some city staff as well. We're calling it Coffee with the Mayor, and this time, well, we're actually bringing him some coffee. On today's show, Parksville's Albert Earl helping to level the playing field for the blind. Rapid fire with the Nanaimo Clippers and a road trip to the Britannia Heritage Shipyard. That and more in the next 30 minutes. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and we'll be delivering that coffee to John Rattan in just a moment. But first, many people are very scared of losing their sight. In fact, it's been shown that some people would rather die than live in a world in which they can't see. We're going to introduce you now to a man I had the pleasure of meeting earlier this week. Albert Earl has dedicated his life to alleviating some of that fear. He himself is blind. The BC Yukon Division of the Canadian Council of the Blind is hosting their 2013 conference April 26th and 27th at the Parksville Civic and Conference Center, and we will be hosting an edition of Go Island from there later this week. You are watching Go Island. It's our bi-weekly Coffee with the Mayor. I hear you drink it black. So
I do.
There you are.
Thank you very much, Kate.
You're
very
welcome.
kind indeed.
This section of Go is intended to bring you some highlights, and if you weren't able to watch council last night, just fill you in on what happened. And Fire Hall was a big part of the meeting last night, and I will admit that I don't know sort of how the discussion started and where it's at right now, so maybe put it into context for us.
This fire plan is very ambitious. The intent is that from 2016 to 2026, in that 10-year window, it can effectively save up to $5 million a year as this plan unfolds. And yet, interestingly enough, all the jobs, the IAF jobs, the International Association of Firefighters jobs will be protected. There'll probably be new hires as well. We may look at downsizing some of the potential fire department buildings that we were looking at building before. It's just trying to do more with less. And I think when we have a chance to get the public involved in it, they'll have a better understanding. So where do we go from here? We're going to hold public meetings. We're going to go through the social media to obtain opinions from the public. We want the stakeholders involved with how they see us moving ahead.
Was there inefficiencies that had been identified in order to bring this report forward in the first place?
I don't know there were inefficiencies, but as our community continues to grow and the population expands, we've got to put ourselves in a position of being able to grow with it and grow in a cost-effective way.
Is that report available to the public anywhere on?
Well, it will be in the future, but our first step is to try to get input on it.
Right.
We've got the report. We will make it available to people to go through it. And I think that, one of the main focuses that we've got a commitment now to have a 6-minute arrival on a fire truck. So right now, the target is to have every structure fire and accident where necessary responded to within 6 minutes. We feel that by developing this new plan and expanding on it, we're going to achieve that goal. 6-minute arrival on a regular basis. We're up around 96, 97% at the time now. We'd like to even make that better.
And there were, how many readings did it get through to receive the report? I think it was two, wasn't it?
It went through two, and now it'll go through a third one again.
Okay.
But I think, as we're better able to explain what we're trying to achieve here, people will feel more comfortable with it. There was some discussion on council. Should we develop the whole report first, get all the stakeholders involved, and go from there? Yes, but to me, I think we need to get the stakeholders up front. That's the first step, to my way of thinking, much like we do with an open house.
And I think Diane was very on board with that too.
Yes,
right?
exactly. So what we'll do is get all the input. We'll put the plan out, let people see it, discuss it, ask questions, and then once they have a chance to see it, talk to the professionals. There'll be firefighters there and management as well. Understand what the plan is about, and then tell us what you'd like to see changed or accepted as it is.
Going to stop you there?
Okay.
We're just getting started, and we're already over time. We are going to talk about the process of readings and how they take place on council later in this edition of Go Island. It's time now, though, to throw things over to Rayanne LaPlante. Through a random set of events, one friend is saving the life of another. That was This is Canada's National Organ Donor Awareness Week, and you can get more information on how to become a donor yourself at transplant.bc.ca. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. As promised a little bit earlier, we're going to educate you, hopefully you're appreciative of it, as to how some of the processes on council actually work. There was a few things last night, that bylaws that went through 1, 2, 3 readings very quickly, and I don't really know the process. So here to clarify some things, Ian Howitt is the Director of Strategic Relationships with the City of Nanaimo. What is the protocol when it comes to readings?
Hi, Kate. So with bylaws in particular, there's 4 readings in total. And in most cases, and there is exceptions, bylaws can be read 30 times in one evening, but there has to be a clear 24-hour period before another bylaw can be read. And the intent is to give council a sober second thought, or another opportunity to think through final adoption of that bylaw.
Do you find that effective most of the time? Is it a good process to have?
Well, it is what it is, and local government's been in this model for a long time, and there's exceptions, as I said, where there's opportunities that have to be, go through public hearings or other public processes that require different results, but the results are always a period of separation between the reading, some of the readings and adoption of the bylaw.
We'll sleep on it.
That's right.
Kind of thing. One of the discussions that came up in our studio recently was the difference between a regular city council meeting and a committee of the whole meeting. And we weren't sure what the difference was. So maybe you could clarify that for us.
Well, it's interesting because the city's going through a governance review right now, so there could be changes to the way we do our committee of the whole meetings, but typically the committee of the whole is for an opportunity for the members of council to have a more thorough discussion about particular topics. And in our particular case, our committee of the whole structure also gives the committee members or council executive powers, so they can do everything except read and adopt bylaws. So any other council resolutions that typically would go to council, they could address it at committee of the whole meeting, and that was done for expediency and convenience and efficiency.
So that's the only difference then, is the bylaw
Yes.
options. Okay, there's still delegations and presentations and...
There is. In fact, delegations that aren't pertaining to council agendas, we actually try and encourage people to go to the committee of the whole meetings because they're introducing new issues. Okay. And that's the best place for council to have discussions about new issues.
Is it easy to get on the agenda with the city if you want to present
Generally
something?
speaking, if you get in, there's deadlines on certain times, and that's to get the agendas done up for council, but generally speaking, it's fairly easy. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to come back and talk with Ian a little bit more about the downtown Nanaimo business improvement area. There was a lot of discussion about that on Monday's council. We're going to do that after a short break. Still ahead today on Go Island, rapid fire with Nanaimo Clipper Chris Rigas and a road trip to one of the oldest shipyards in BC. That and more still ahead today on Go. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and today we are reviewing some of the highlights from Monday's City Council meeting. There was a lot of discussion around the downtown Nanaimo business improvement area and the proposal to renew 2 bylaws to maintain 2 of those business areas. If you want some context on that, you're certainly free to contact the DNBIA directly. But what we're talking about today is the city moving forward with these bylaws. And where does it stand right now?
Okay, the council read the bylaws 3 times, or gave the 2 bylaws, 3 readings last night, and they've instructed staff to proceed with the petition against process, which asks the membership or all the affected properties in the boundary areas.
You lose me a little bit on the language of petition against process,
I'll explain
which
that.
is good to clarify. Yeah.
So what council's doing is telling staff to go out and ask the affected property owners if they oppose the renewal of the bylaw. Okay. And they'll be told exactly how much they'll have to pay, and then they'll have a choice to send in a petition to council saying, I do not agree with this. Okay. And if there's more than 50% opposing both properties and assessed value, then council would not be able to proceed with adoption of the bylaw.
And there were 3 councillors opposed to that, to adopting those bylaws last night, and I guess that's a way to compromise and sort of look into it to keep everyone happy.
It's council you could think of as a reflection of the community, and it's rare that you'd ever get particularly in Nanaimo, you'd ever get 100% acceptance of everything in Nanaimo. It's just the way it is.
Right. Here and in probably every other city.
Every city in the, yeah.
Thank you, Ian.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm sure we'll have you back later
Okay.
on Go Island. We're going to throw things over now to Dan Marshall. It's time for another installment of Rapid Fire with the Nanaimo Clipper. As you probably know, the Nanaimo Clippers have been eliminated from the BCHL playoffs, but their season is not over. The Western Canada Cup is just around the corner, April 26th until May the 5th. Nanaimo is hosting. You can get full details at nanaimoclippers.com. And it looks like we're going to be hosting an edition of Go Island from the final game on May the 5th. Look for that on Channel 4 beginning on Monday, May the 6th. We're going to take a short break, and here now is your Get Up and Go calendar. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and this is your bi-weekly overview of what happened at Nanaimo City Council on the previous Monday evening. One of the big issues in the city lately, and for a couple of years now, has been Lily Valley, and the Friends of Save Lindley Valley West got some bad news last week when they discovered that a permit for development in the area was going to go ahead. And they've been lobbying the city and presenting to the city and having environmental studies done for a long time now, putting their heart and soul into it, and this was bad news for them.
I'm sure that it was. You know, and it is a lovely piece of land. I think we all agree on that point.
And the city can't do anything to stop it?
Well, the challenge is, you know, how much parkland do we need in the city? And remember that we've just gone through a very good and a very positive exchange with the School District 68. The board of directors there and the city of Nanaimo traded properties. I think we got 5 properties. They had received 4 properties. Very significant ones like Pioneer Park, north of Nanaimo.
I'm going to interrupt. We talked about how as we get more comfortable with each other, I'm going to start interrupting a little
Okay.
bit more. I've always seen the issue of Lindley Valley as the environmental impact of developing that area is huge. It's a very unique and special area. At the same time, if the city goes and steps backwards on a development permit that's already been issued, then we're looking at being very unwelcoming to businesses in the city. So it's kind of between a rock and a hard place. But by going ahead with development, are you not putting the environment second to business?
Well, Kate, you know, you raise a good point. Let's remember that there has been case law on these issues. In White Rock, for example, there was a large development that was planned. There was some strong opposition to it. The council voted as a result of this strong opposition against the project. The developer went to Supreme Court and won. In this particular case, the zoning is correct. The developer does not have to apply for a variance for anything, so he is able to proceed with it. And the challenge here, and the difficulty is, it's privately owned land. I don't know that we can legally stop it, and I really would encourage the public to see what the plans are and see where it's going from there on. But you know, we are bound by policy and requirements, and I'm not sure that there is any ability on the council to stop it at this point. It's within the mandate of senior management to decide on this because it meets all of the criteria that are outlined. And it's my understanding that that will be proceeding in an orderly fashion.
I understand that permit for development is awaiting a signature right now. As of this recording, it hasn't been signed yet, but that's predicted to happen later this week. We're going to throw things over now to Dunya Tozy on the Lower Mainland. It's time for a road trip. That brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island. Remember, you can get full coverage of Nanaimo City Council on Shaw TV Channel 4, as well as through the City of Nanaimo website. Thanks for watching this edition of Go Island. We'll see you next time.